This is from another DIY landlord. This one says, how can I tell if an applicant is using a fake service animal or not?
Well, is it plastic?
Okay.
Number one, if it's plastic, it's definitely a fake service animal. Okay, that fell flat.
That's
That's my comedy
solid
background.
way.
No.
That's a solid way to tell. No, this is a great question, and this is actually a question that kind of plagues the property management industry as pros as well. So what we do, we actually started maybe about 2 years ago using a third party who will independently verify all pets or service animals that come through our application process. And I believe it's available to DIY landlords as well. I think you can just do it on one-off, and that's petscreening.com. Not affiliates, don't make any money, but that is the resource that we and many of the other property management company owners use. So what they do is they will verify, is this an actual like legal doctor's note that's verifying. I like that. That is statefying.
Statefying. That's a good one.
Copyright.
Copyright.
TM.
TM.
Statefying.
Copyright pending.
Verifying that this is an actual legit service animal. So there are a couple things to keep in mind that have to do with fair housing and ways you can get yourself into hot water, especially if you have a tricksy tenant who is perhaps trying to set you up for a lawsuit. And these do actually happen. And targeting DIY landlords is a really easy target because you may not know the way that professionals, we just have this kind of beat into our heads of all the things you need to watch out for around fair housing.
Number one, don't ask them why.
Don't ask them why.
Don't ask them why they need an emotional support or a service animal.
Or whatever the various names are for all the service animals now. Do not ask about their disability. Do not ask what it is. Do not challenge the disability. You don't do any of that. If someone states they have a disability, you have to take their word for it. What you can do is ask to see the verification, and they will give you the doctor's note. You can call that doctor's office and verify, again, not asking about the disability, but verifying that this doctor wrote this note for this person to have a service or ESA animal or anything like
absolutely.
that. And that's what that third party service is doing for us. And what they find about, I forget the stats, I feel like it's about maybe 40-50% of the time, the doctor won't call them back, won't verify it, because people have gone online and kind of used some of these fake write up a note. It may be from a doctor in another state, they may not even be a doctor. So once that gets challenged, they do not verify it. And if it can't be verified, then you do not have to rent to them.
Yeah, so I would highly recommend using a third-party service because it just creates a paper trail. It gives you documentation. If for reasons of denial, if it ever gets challenged, you can say, well, I've used this service that does this all the time. They couldn't get a hold of anybody. They couldn't verify it, so I denied their application. I mean, more often than not, I'd say people who have an emotional support animal or a service animal for whatever disability, they have it for a reason. I mean, there's the people who can give you the supporting documentation, they're legit, and their animals are actually been trained to help them out. And I would definitely, I'm an advocate for allowing those folks into your house. There are the bad apples that tend to spoil the bunch who came into a puppy or a cat or an iguana or a frog or a fox
or a handful of Rottweilers
or a handful or a panda bear.
Side note, my mom used to breed Rottweilers when we were little. There are 4 kids in my family. And I remember people saying, you're crazy. Why do you have all these Rottweilers and all these children is perhaps a better question.
That explains a lot about you and your family. All right. No.
So no, I'm not hating on
shout out to Sharon.
Yeah.
Shout out to Sharon. Love you. But the people who are trying to spoil it for everybody else, they're not going to be able to show that they're legit. And we've had a lot of success with petscreening.com. They have weeded out a bunch of bad apples for us and have made our jobs a lot easier. So I highly recommend doing that if you're at all skeptical about the process.
That said, we are very pro-pet in our portfolio. We do try to encourage our clients to accept pets unless there's a reason. I know sometimes there are, like it may be, and the owner is planning on moving back into the property, and we have Rosie, the mascot.
This is our pro pet.
She actually matches very well with our bricks.
All right.
Unless the owner perhaps has allergies, like legit cat allergies, and they plan on moving back into the property, like we definitely would not put an applicant with a cat into that property, because anyone who has experience knows that cat dander gets up into the ducts, that gets into the carpet. Even cleaning the ducts doesn't necessarily fix that. So there definitely are reasons, or like a big large dog in a home that had just had the hardwood floors refinished. That's probably not the right fit. But in general, we do try to be very pro-pet Because about 60% of households have pets. So if you as an owner just state, I'm not taking any pets, you're right away, if you think of like your renter pool as a slice of pie, well, there goes 60% of your pie. Uncle Al just ate all your Thanksgiving pie, and now you just have this little itty bitty slice of the pie, and that's who you have to draw your applicants from.
Yeah, I mean, the pet owners, pets are part of the family nowadays, dogs, cats, etc., like Darcy was saying, but I think I'm a big proponent of keeping pets in the as part of the application process, because it widens your tenant pool, and there are really well qualified, really awesome tenants with a dog, with a cat, and they are going to pay your rent, and so you want to make sure that you have as many people to pick from as possible who are going to rent your property.
Yeah, Christopher, I see we got a little power issue back there. It's still saying we're red.
Oh, because it's not plugged in.
Plug it in. Side note, plug in your deal when you're trying to go live for your millions of followers.
A deal.
Okay. Plug in your little deal, that little white cord over there. All right. So I think that does it for, thanks babe, got that. All right, I think that does it for the questions we're going to answer today. We're about at 11:30. Yeah.
Man, going down the basement is spooky.
Was that tough? Did you need all your muscles for that one?
All right, I'm back.
All right, guys.